too long. I just wanna be from this time unchained. Oh, looking at a different picture through this new frame of mind. A thousand flowers sleeping. Move over.
Shalom, shalom, wise Silas speaking. Trying to find the video. Shalom, shalom. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Thank you, Shannon Teller. This is Wise Silas. Like, share, and subscribe. Like I said, I was coming back. I want to do this deep video explaining the Black Boule. This is your Black Secret Society. Of course, if you have any questions, y'all can ask. I'm trying to knock this video out before I get too tired. Now, like I said, Shanna said my real name is Shayna. Who gives a fuck? No, I'm sorry, I'm just... I'm sorry, I'm just playing. I didn't mean that. I'm an asshole. You know, everyone knows this. Now, where was I at? It means beautiful. My name is John. It means John. It means John. It's a deep thing. Names don't have meanings. You have words, and then you have names. Like I said, you have words, then you have names. I should have answered that. I apologize. Like I said, you have words, and then you have names. A name doesn't have a definition. The definition to the name is the person. You get it? So like, Solace is a word. Has a definition. In terms of Solace as my name, so you get it? Definition goes out the window. Solace is just me. To you. So it's a deep thing. Shanna said St. John. Are you back with that? Where's my moderators? In any event, you have the Black Boule. This is your secret societies. This is the black side of that secret society thing. Now, when you're dealing with secret societies, your Freemasons, and you know the many different groups. This is an old thing. It doesn't have to do with... In today's time, it has a different purpose than it did in its start. its start had to do with getting things to where they are now. Its purpose now is to keep things that way. Now you always have puppets. This is people who are not aware that they're being used. All you have is puppets in life. The supervisor's the puppet to the manager. And the manager's the puppet to the owner. Owner the puppet to the city. So on and so forth. The point I'm making is that if you guys are manipulated to be puppets, you don't necessarily have to be aware of it. So you have like the black Boule and black secret societies, and so we naturally think these are things that were opposing, I guess what y'all would call white secret societies are the systematics. And so I want to do this video explaining how they're both the same, meaning the black Boule, which is a secret society, and all the other secret societies that you know. They're all one and the same. They all had the same purpose. In their time, this purpose was better than the times. So I'll give you an example. You guys all know Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman was freeing slaves from the South and bringing them to the free states of the North. So she was freeing slaves, she was stealing, kidnapping, freeing, whatever you want to call it. Slaves from the South, bringing them north to the newly developed city and states, your free towns. Of course, in the South, you have the old ways, the plantations and things like this. The Underground Railroad and how Harriet Tubman was stealing or freeing slaves had to do with the developing train system in America. You get my point? So around the time of the Underground Railroad, you had the new underground train railroads being built. And so this is the beginnings of moving product from north to south and vice versa. You get my point? So there's a beginning to everything, meaning the newly developing train system, this being B&O railways. Harriet Tubman would have been a conductor on a real train or real railway. And as product is being brought from the north to the southern states, she is going into the southern states, stealing slaves from the plantation owners, bringing them into the newly developing city, where they'll be a citizen, they can pick which slavery they want to do, etc. But from her perspective, this is better than the conditions of the time. Meaning Harriet Tubman does not know that America's going to be what it is now, and that she's freeing slaves to bring them into a whole new developed slavery. More trapping the mind, if anything, which is worse. And so the point I'm making is, you may hear like Kanye West and people say that Harriet Tubman kidnapped slaves or whatever the case may be. It's a matter of that. You had the newly developing train systems. I guess the slaves called them the Underground Railroads instead of a train. It's a new thing, so. Before that, they had like the wooden trains and all that weird stuff. And so the point I'm making is that you had secret societies helping to develop the systems that we live under now. Meaning there was a time where only the northern states were like now, where you can come, you get a birth certificate, a social security card, you get to pick where you want to work, etc., etc. You get my point? Prior to that, you had the plantation orders. And so, you get my point? The North is developing faster than the South, if that makes sense. So the North is like modern day slavery, while the South is still the majority, which is your plantation slavery. It's the same thing, but you get my point? The newly developed system, or the way we live now, this is what was going on in the North. And so you have people like Harriet Tubman who lived in the North. And so now she's free. You get my point? She's like we are now. She's a citizen of a northern state. She has a job working on a railroad as a conductor. You get my point? But in perspective, she's like a secret agent because those that run the North, they're telling them to, like, steal. There's like a battle between the South and the North. The South wants things to stay how it is. The North wants things to progress forward into the new century. You get my point? The new ways. And so you get my point? Your plantation owners are being overthrown by the northern developing states and cities. You get my point? You have developing states and cities, Baltimore and all of this stuff, on the North, basically trying to overthrow the South by stealing their product, which is their slaves. If you have a plantation and I have a developing city, but I don't have no people there, I need citizens. You have all the people, but you have them as slaves, so they gotta do what you say. How can I get them people from there, here? Like that. I can steal them. Slaves is used to do that. You get my point? Meaning the citizens of the new developed states are used as workers to do what they do. And so, slaves from the South were basically kidnapped, brought to the South, to the North, to live the way that, we do now, under there's certain kind of orders. This is why they were going to put Harriet Tubman's face on the dollar, because she helped in the developing of how we live now, with the states and the systematics and the kind of free slavery that everyone has, where it's not noticed. I'm not saying Harriet Tubman's the mastermind. I'm saying Harriet Tubman is a slave from the South who was put on to something better. You get my point? It's better to be how we are now than how they was in the past. You get my point? It's better to be locked up in a prison with other prisoners than to be taken out back and locked up in a hot box by your goddamn self burning. You get it? It is a little better, but it still is what it is. Now, Harriet's just used as a pawn. But, like I said, it's better. If it's better for the pawn, so the pawn got to go with it. And so you get my point? This is not about Harriet Tubman being like a sellout or anything that y'all may want to put this into. You get my point? The point of this video is there was a system in order to developing things the way they are now. Prior to now, you had plantation owners. They are all business owners, basically. You get my point? This business owner has this plantation. He's in the cotton business. And so he has all this acreage. He has his plantation house built, and he has his slaves working his field. This is how he makes his money. That cotton is sent damn near everywhere. More than likely back to Europe. He makes his living that way. The next person, theirs may be corn. You get it? Everybody's farming, the next person's may be fabric. They're taking the plant fibers, spinning them into threads, sewing it into fabric. Sewing it, stitching, weaving it into fabric, and then the rest. And so this is what they're using their plantation for. Meaning the plantation is just a business where the workers live there, and you get my point? Of course, the workers before then, they would have been like indigenous people running in the forests. Or they would have been tribal people after indigenous. So they would have been slaves on a plantation, but prior to that, they would have been, what y'all call Indian tribes. Indian tribes just being the beginnings of states and cities, meaning every Indian tribal lands. If you go to an old map of America, you're going to have your Indian tribal lands everywhere where you see a state, meaning you're going to have the exact same map with just different names. Where you used to see in Texas, it's going to say a tribe's name, meaning that is the beginning orders of what we live now. You get my point? In a tribe, y'all have this thing like a tribe could have a white chief. He's the colonizer. He's having sex with everybody. There's mixed kids running around. It's no order. It's like a city. It's the beginnings of that. When black people say, man, I'm Blackfoot. So it's like now everybody has to have a nationality to have some kind of rights. You get my point? They're developing up this new nation. Everybody's being classified into a certain group. First tribes, then of course tribes is overthrown, meaning the names. And it's replaced with, the language that's being spoke by the majority. Meaning you had your tribal names because in that time most of the people would have spoke the language of their tribe instead of English. You get my point? But as time's going, so English becomes the dominant. And so you get my point? Saying Chickasaw and all these strange things, they would have said it in a different tongue though. That would be strange. So you get it? Names is changed. Texas, Houston. You get my point? Whatever the case may be. The point I'm making is a tribe is no different than a city. Meaning a tribe in a village is just pre-city and nationality. And so all black people, or all people, would have had to come under some sort of nationality to have rights. Meaning wherever you live, this is your nationality. You get my point? You're an American, meaning you were born here in America. As far as you know, your peoples was too. But that don't stop at a black. You get my point? You got white people that say, man, I was born here. You get my point? They was here before your people, let's say. And so you get my point? You'll have many people coming under the term American. It's the same if you go to Belize, Colombia. You're going to have many different skin tones falling under a nationality. And so it's like that, Let me see if you guys have questions. I'm sorry. Peace and wisdom off grid. Okay, you guys are good. And so let me know if y'all following. Press 1 or something at some point. And so the point I'm making is, overall, the lands were robbed. Of course, when the lands was robbed, all you had was indigenous people running in their part of the forest. These are your uncivilized. Colonizers are going to come and intermingle with these people. When I say intermingle, think of like the indigenous videos you may see on YouTube, where at first the white people are just looking at the uncivilized tribe, then eventually they work their way into like talking to one of the elders. They're all spooked out by the white people. They think they're dragon or something. You get my point? Then eventually they, open up. They start to listen to the white person. The white person has more technology than they do. You get it? Then it's mixing and merging, and so you start to get mixed generations coming after. The land becoming more of the white person because the indigenous people are looking at the white person like a father. He knows so much stuff. They're sick. He has medicine for it. He's like God to them. And so you get my point? He starts to dictate the orders of the people, putting them into a tribe, it being named, so on and so forth. Now, of course, you have many colonizers coming here doing that. This is how you get your tribes and your chief, meaning this is how you get your ranks of status and your tribal names. This will carry over into countries and nationalities. You get my point? But it's just the beginnings of it. Peace and wisdom. And so, you have those orders. Tribes being developed here. Tribes and villages. This would be pre-nationality and countries. Now you have all these nationalities here. Meaning prior to that, think like animals in the forest. Ain't none of those orders. This indigenous tribe is in that area, that indigenous people is in that area, not tribe, indigenous people. Some will be here, some will be there. You get my point? White man come, the mixing and merging, now they're being shifted all around. Of course, the mixed breeds I'm speaking of, the second generation or the first generation after the mixed breeding. And so, everything's classified into tribes. Now, the same time as this is transpiring, meaning America's being colonized by your Spanish, Christopher Columbus and them. They're coming, colonizing it, developing it into a New Europe, or, a place with states, cities, citizens. It's going to be a process, and so it starts with the villages and the tribes that will expand into, you get it, cities and states, nationalities, etc. Now, the point I'm making is as this is happening, you have the Dutch coming over. They're not the Spanish. They're Dutch. They're white. That means they about business. They ain't got time for stupidity. You get it? And so now the Dutch are coming. This is where your plantations is coming into tuition. This Dutch man might be the leather owner. You get it? He sells leather in Europe, and so he's coming to America, setting up a plantation, and he's going to have his slaves hunting animals, and he's going to be, shipping leather back to Europe. And so now you have plantations being developed where these where these tribes and villages, meaning you got these tribal people living in their villages, these orders being set up, and at the same time, simultaneously, you got Dutchmen coming up, setting up their businesses, which is a plantation system, where you have slaves working the land, and you get it? Now you got tribes and villages, and so this is where the conflict y'all know of, where it's like cowboys versus Indians and all of that. You have the civilized, which would be your Dutchmen and their slaves, now having quarrels with the people that were already there, which is, your mixed breed indigenous people who are now Indian tribes. And so you get it? They're less civilized than these Dutchmen coming from Europe. These motherfuckers already own businesses. There's not even buildings in America yet. So they're far more advanced. You get it? The natives don't have no clue what they're even doing. To them, this is just slavery. They don't understand like, oh, this is business. This is what they do. They hire motherfuckers to work. This is just the beginnings of it, the force part. But it's going to get better. You get it? Europe's already a developed country when America is forest land. And so, I'm just trying to help you guys grasp the perspective. So, like I said, you have plantations and master, that thing being set up. And then you have tribes and villages and all the, native people of the land, as well as the colonizers that came and mixed bread with them. You have them warring amongst each other, because this is what, nationalities and things do. And at the same time, they're attacking plantation owners. So you may hear of an Indian tribe raiding a plantation or something. And so y'all looking at all the colonizers as the same, and y'all are looking at all the black or brown-skinned people as the same, and it's not the same. You get it? The Dutch ain't got nothing to do with the Spanish. They don't even like the motherfuckers. You get it? So they're coming. It's not no agreements between them. The Dutch feel like y'all fake white. You get it? You got Italy, Spain. This is just Spanish. Colonized over here, and so all their descendants to be born in this newly developed lands are referred to as Puerto Ricans, because that's what they named that place. Prior to that, that land didn't have any name, so there was no nationality for a Spanish man that came from Italy or Spain to name himself. You get my point? But they came, they changed the orders. Now, when a person is born in America, but they're truly a Spanish person from Italy or Spain, so they're just called a Puerto Rican. You get my point? Now, if they go back to Spain, they'll look like every Spanish person did. It will be no different. Spain is in Europe, meaning it's a European country. Right then. Like that. And so, I'm trying to think how to word this so you guys don't take offense and just grasp. If a Spanish person, of course, is born in America, they're referred to as a Puerto Rican. We view them as black, but they're European. I know that sounds strange from the way you know it. So, ours is important. You get my point? Otherwise, anything a person tell you is daytime outside and it's nighttime, you be like, it's night. So, Puerto Ricans are black, that's cool. Now, you got ours. Christopher Columbus from Spain. So, this is where you get your Spanish, your Latina. Y'all think that stuff come from, what do y'all call the people that were in that area? I forget. The Taino. Y'all think the Taino have to do with, I'm sorry, let me answer this. Hello? Hello? Yeah, what's going on, brother? Okay. Alright, you gotta give me a half an hour. I'm doing something right now. Okay. No, I got you. So just call me when you finish. Alright, that'll work. Yeah, I did. Alright. Everything good. I'll call you when I finish. Alright. Oh, I apologize. Y'all know my thing a little, it's a little ghetto. It's alright though. You know, ghetto's good. I only practice being rich and stuff like that sometimes. Usually I enjoy poor. Salam shalom. Salam shalom. Now, where was I at? If anyone can help me, I kind of lost my train of thought. The Spanish. If you're Puerto Rican, you're truly a European people. Meaning the Tainos that were here, they had nothing to do with Latino or Latino. You get my point? The colonizers, your Spanish, they brought that to those people, mixing and merging in with them, you know, whichever ones of them they didn't slaughter. You get my point? Meaning Puerto Ricans or Spanish are a ruthless people. We respect ruthless into daytime, so no one needs to get offended, meaning you have to make sense. Either tough is cool or it isn't. If tough is cool, from that perspective, there's not a race more, I don't want to say that. Spanish people work together better than any people you know. For the most part. They may not be the wisest race, but in terms of sticking together, well, they don't even have to know each other. If they see one of theirs fighting, they're going to jump and they're going to pull out their knife. And y'all know that. I'm 2,000% sure of that. They don't have to know you. I've had Spanish people help me because they thought I was Dominican. Mad as fuck when they found out I ain't. So these motherfuckers are never. I mean, they put their life on the line. They ain't got to know you if you Spanish. That's that. Meaning that Latin King thing is Our grandma be Latin king. Meaning that's their race. It don't even got nothing to do with it again. So it's a deep thing I want y'all to grasp. They are a ruthless people. Meaning the things y'all heard, like blacks getting their dick cut off, that's come from them. Like I said, Spanish people are ruthless people. If you Spanish, don't take offense to what I'm saying. You do have elders, and so you do see how they feel towards blacks. In that, you can get what I'm saying when I say it was them that was cutting off dicks and stuff. It wasn't your Dutch people. Meaning white people don't care about black people like that. You get my point? How can I put it? Some of y'all know white people. White people deal with black people in this way. They either act arrogant towards you as if they don't want nothing to do with you at all. Like, get out of my space. Or they'll try to be like your savior, your buddy. But in a savior way. Like, I'm helping you. You get my point? The point I'm making is, when you're dealing with white people, they not, I don't want to say they're not ruthless, but they're manipulators. So they will use like the Spanish, y'all. They're smart ruthless. Spanish just ruthless, like. I'm not sure if y'all grasping. Y'all are lost into y'all nationalities. Now, I don't follow that, so I don't see no big deal in nothing I said. It's just the truth. As individuals, black people are the strongest, meaning out of all the races, if you pull out all the individual people, well, black people are the strongest. You get my point? I don't think no race can disagree with that. Y'all, every race fears black people. I don't care what they tell you. Tell them to walk down a goddamn alley and there's one black dude down there and just most of them wouldn't go. Now you tell a black person that and he just see one person, he's gonna go. Y'all are like, yeah, you telling the truth. That is how it would be. Like that. Black people not scared of individuals. We just scared of groups. You get it? Everybody else scared of individuals. Those individuals being black people. We're viewed like uncivilized. So when colonizers come to the land, they view the uncivilized indigenous people like, man, them motherfuckers are dangerous. Like, they'll kill you, man, and eat you. Like, that's how we view them today. Say, man, watch yourself around black people, man, they'll kill their own self. They'll kill their own kind. Like that. So we still kind of got some of the ancestry in us, meaning the uncivilized ways. But that's a matter of us trying to fit into civilization instead of, having our own civilization. So just things that have to be grasped at some point in time. Meaning we don't have to live by orders that's made. We can make our own, being as though we weren't accepted into the new orders. They didn't give y'all a nationality or a piece of land. So in that, you wasn't included. Just like the indigenous people wasn't included. Whatever indigenous person mixed bread with a white colonizer, so that one indigenous person was taken from, their tribe and had a better life with, this colonizer, and you get my point? And fucking eating rice, and you got a whole new life now. He not eating crickets and berries out the trees and nuts. He not indigenous man technically no more. He now with this white person. Well, she with the white person now. Teaching us stuff. She having kids by him. The kids are learning the white man's ways because according to her, she probably say like they better. This shit got me now living in the forest, starving for 3 weeks when rain season coming. Like that. You can fast forward it to Big Mama on the plantation. So she gonna have sex with the plantation master because in her younger days she was a bad little mama. And she become privileged because she have sex with master. So she let herself go because she comfortable. Now she fat Big Mama. That's the end of the movie. You didn't see the beginning when she was skinny and cute. Getting power dropped by the master. Y'all just know the endings of Big Mama. Where she's the fat old lady on a plantation and she even bullies the strong dude. You say, how'd she get that privilege? Because back in the day she was fucking a plantation master. He won't touch her now, but You get my point? She got leverage over this nigga because she'll tell his wife, yeah, all your kids is mine. You see, they brown, right? Because white people played dumb back in the day. White woman to be married to a white man, she'll have a white woman to be married to a white man. This black slave lady will have a whole bunch of light children. She'll play stupid. Like there's another white slave there or something. So you get my point? Won't save his face. Those half-breeds, they gonna be house niggas. So house nigga go deeper than, nigga, you light skin, you look better. This shit go family. Meaning half y'all don't realize it, but the house nigga, he was a part of their family. Treat it like shit though. He happy to be a house nigga. This nigga is a part of the family though. I'll say that again. Plantation master got a wife. There's a cute little slave on there. He fucks up. She has a whole bunch of kids, about 4, 5. Let herself go too. She fat now. Those kids is half master kids, meaning they entitled to half the plantation like his real kids, because they are his real kids. He don't want to claim them though, because they niggas. Gonna make him look crazy. So what he do is say, damn, I do love them though, they are my own kids. But I can't tell nobody. So what he do is let them work and sleep in the house and shit. He treat them like they is family. He just don't tell nobody they is. So you got house nigga and field nigga. The house nigga like for a reason. You can't, he ain't just wake up light skin one day. That part. He like for a reason, he in that house for a reason. Ain't nothing for one reason. You gonna always have a bunch of reasons for a thing. Meaning when people sitting down and they trying to reason on a thing, so they think of a bunch of shit. And so you have to grasp, this is the deepest of the deep. Like, this is what's not written. You get it? It's like old times by the fire. By the fire, little fire pit. Some things can't be written. When you're dealing with writings in movies, which is one and the same, a movie is a script. The truth gonna always be altered to fit into the perspective of the script of the book. Y'all see this happening with movies now, and then you get the original people saying, man, it wasn't really like that. They say, you know how it is, we gotta fit it into an hour and a half. And when you dealing with the history that y'all had and y'all reading books, yeah, it's fitting whole life into a goddamn book. The same way that movie say, we ain't really got all that time to put your whole life into an hour. We just gonna put what we think is important. Don't worry about it though, it's good. It's gonna be good. That's how history is done. Our ancestors would never write down history because you robbing that shit of it. You get it? You cannot put a whole history on no paper. And so everything was oral. You see how I'm breaking it down and y'all oral and it just flow and y'all like, yeah, I kind of grasp this shit. Ain't like I heard it, but it do make sense like that. The truth gonna make sense. It's gonna come from the heart. It's gonna come from the understanding. You speaking from the pages of the book, you're gonna be all scrambled up. Because that's everybody's perspective. And we all got different perspectives of the same event. And so in that, when you fucking with books, you got to always keep the perspective. It's somebody's perspective. It may not be accurate. Even if I like it, I don't have one yet, so I'm going to like them all. I'm going to like whatever one I heard first, being as though I ain't. A kid like Santa Claus because he heard that first. You get it? Santa Claus is alive, but like, he could have heard something else better than Santa Claus. He would have liked that better than Santa Claus. He would have never accepted that Santa Claus lie because it would have interfered with his better lie. Y'all follow? The man is a lie. He like a web of lies. He develops his lies as he gets older. It becomes manipulations, mind game lies. Not just regular lies like, ooh, mommy, somebody's at the door and no one is. You still a cookie. But manipulation lies more deeper. Like, mommy, I seen that you had sex with the mailman, and if you don't buy me the new video game, tell him that. So she say like, yeah, he was always my favorite. She hates your fucking guts. But she lied to you and shit. Because you got leverage on her. I'm just playing. Some of y'all have that relationship with your mother. You have leverage on her. So in that, you was a spoiled brat by default. She do whatever you tell her. You don't do that to your mama. That ain't right. What you do is tell your daddy. What you do is tell your daddy on her. She ain't know better than to be doing some shit like that. Now let me get this button together. And so, you have the developing Americas. It started with indigenous man being, mixed breeded and placed into villages and tribes. A village is just an area with a name. The people of that village is the tribe, and they take the same name as that place, the same way whatever country from you take the nationality of the country name. Village and tribe is the beginnings of that, a smaller version. When you just got a little area instead of a whole, state worth. But it's developing into that. And so now you have these mixed breed first generations. They're mixed indigenous, mixed colonizers. They're like black with stringy hair, all light skinned with nappy hair, all different kinds. These is the beginnings of your tribes. And so the Indian peoples that y'all see on the reservations and things, this is them, meaning indigenous people mixed breeding in with colonizers coming, you get them. Dark-skinned, stringy-haired people, over time becoming whitewashed out. The same way black people are whitewashed out, meaning I'm light-skinned. So you get my point? Like that. But they would become your natives because they're like house niggas. If you can understand the house nigga analogy, where the house nigga is technically a part of the family, so that's why he truly in that motherfucker, but that's the secret. That's how it is with the Native Americans or Indians. Technically, they're kids of the colonizers, so that's why they get those privileges like reservations, and they're the kids of the colonizers that are half indigenous, so they don't want to claim them all the way. So they can't be like city and state owners. But nigga, you can have this little reservation. You get it? So like, the house nigga, he's like the plantation master's real son. By a slave though. So he don't want to tell him like, yeah, half this house is yours because you my son and you should take over this shit. So what he do is just tell him you a house nigga. That means you can chill up in the house and shit. As opposed to telling him, nigga, you family. You technically my son, you the same as that white boy right there. Y'all just got different mothers. You should be entitled to everything he is. Like that. The Indians are technically, you get my point? The offspring of the colonizers. And so you have the indigenous people, the offspring of the colonizers, which is your native Indians, and then you have the colonizers themselves, all simultaneously in the same place, like that. All technically being the same in perspective. The Native Americans ain't nothing but indigenous and colonizers mixed. You get my point? You got black African Americans in today. We ain't nothing but indigenous people that had to fall under a tribe for rights purposes. Meaning if you want pieces of land so you can grow food and eat, you better be acknowledging a tribe or a nationality. You get my point? So you have, like how y'all do today. Y'all say I'm African, I'm Native American. Y'all try to find something to fit into so y'all can try to fight y'all way for reparations or rights. Otherwise, y'all say, man, we ain't nobody. How we gonna get something? That's how it was for the indigenous. Meaning we are literally the indigenous people who are the owners of this place. Like I said, the colonizers came, mixed breeded in with them, took their offspring, which was half-breed, and went on their merry way, away from the indigenous people. And so you get it? Your native Indians or your mixed breeds, they become the native because they the closest thing to what they ain't dealing with. Meaning the colonizers know, okay, the uncivilized indigenous tribes are people technically own a place, but they uncivilized and we ain't dealing with them, so it don't matter. We gonna give, rights accordingly. And so it kind of works in that way. Now you have Native American reserves. This is like the 1800s. You have Native American reserves where, Blackfoot stay here, Cherokee stay here. You get it? And then you have your developing nations all around, with your nationalities and citizens falling in it. Then at the same time, you still have indigenous, uncivilized people, pygmies. This is what black people are. These people have no goddamn rights, no land, no nothing. They not even identified or acknowledged. They're referred to as uncivilized. And so now they have to go be slaves of some Native American tribe or on some Dutch man's plantation. This is why if you read in the Tears of Trail Act, this is when the last of the Native American tribes were kicked off their land and dispersed to new reservations, let's say. It'd be reported like a Native American chief had black slaves, meaning, look that up. The Native American chiefs or Indians have black slaves. When you had the, what is that called? Wounded Creek Massacre and Spotted Elk. Spotted Elk, this is the chief of the Lakota people, the Sioux people. You had U.S. soldiers came to their lands basically trying to take their shotguns and shit. And because they wouldn't give them up, they slaughtered them, about 300 of them. They show a picture of Spotted Elk, he's black. Clear as day black. Big nose black. Dead in the snow. When you look at the survivors, they white. You get my point? Like that. Land was being stolen in that way. Land was being, because that's like a part of the endings of the tale of the Tears of the Trails Act. You get it? Meaning it's a separate thing, but it's not. It's like people still doing what they already was ordered not to. You get my point? Leave Native Americans in their lands alone, but you still gonna have knucklehead white people that say, I don't fuck what they talking about. I'm gonna do what I want. Like that. And so Native Americans have their lands now, and they have shotguns, weapons, horses, and then you get it? You have white people that say, I don't give a fuck what the nation said. We taking your shit. And so they'll manipulate a little fight or disagreement and slaughter them. Take all their shotguns or whatever. You get my point? But the point I was making is this. When something like that happened, then you would have the mixed breed people brought to the reservations, meaning in the Tears of Trails Act, when the tribes was being pushed off their land, they were being pushed to reservations. This is the beginnings of that, or the ends of that. Meaning reservations was built up for your mixed breeds, like I said. You still have full indigenous black civilized tribes, if that makes sense. Meaning you have indigenous people fitting into different tribes, different plantations, for rights purposes. Over time, let's say the tribe becomes blackwashed, meaning it's a back and forth thing. It may be whitewashed out this generation, you start getting blackwashed back. You get my point? All the black tribes was dispersed from their land. They were slaughtered like Wounded Creek Massacre. But what happened is when you get to the reservations, where these people should have ended up, what you see is half white looking people. You get my point? And so the point I'm making is this. Indigenous people had to fit into either a tribe or the newly developing systems way, meaning they either had to fit in to being a citizen of a city or state, or they either had to find a tribe to be a part of, or a plantation, because you had all three happening simultaneously. It's a north and south thing. And so this is how y'all begin to claim tribes. Like, no, we are the rightful, we are Cherokee. This is how you'll hear black people say, "Nah, my ancestors is Blackfoot." They not Blackfoot, but Blackfoot is pre-nationality. You get it? And so we have to identify as African American or something. Now, in the past, same way. You have to identify with one of the tribes that's known or something that's known. Otherwise, what are you even talking about? And so this is how, we was robbed of our rights, meaning you have no more indigenous people. You do, but they're trying to fit into the nationalities. In that, you get my point? Y'all don't claim the North American lands as the indigenous, saying we are the descendants of the uncivilized that y'all slaughtered. And those that y'all didn't slaughter, they snuck their ass into a tribe, or, you get it? One of these developing orders that is now so that they can eat and shit. Like that. And this is why, we claiming tribes and things like that, but have no reservation. No one's acknowledging that we are a part of a tribe. Because of that reason. We ain't. We the descendants of the people that tribes came from. You get it? Meaning we the closest to the uncivilized indigenous. That part. When y'all claim tribes, so you're not never going to get anything from that, because the system knows the true orders. You get my point? The system knows colonizers came here and mixed in with uncivilized indigenous people. These people don't even have the same blood types that we know of now. And so you get my point? They don't want to deal with them, of course. So they deal with the descendants that come after that's mixed breeded. They become the Native Americans. And the colonizers are still the power. It doesn't matter if you're the Native of America, does it? That part. What matters is if you're like a white colonizer, then you the power. To be a Native American don't mean nothing except you're the native of the place. But technically you're not. The indigenous people would be. But if you tell somebody, what forest is the butt-naked indigenous people in North America in? Ain't no more forest left in North America for that. That part. It's us. Of course, we mixed breeded in now, but we are the last to be. And so some of us are still full-blooded indigenous. That's why y'all blood is worth so much. And y'all skin. You get it? It's a different... We're not technically the same as the rest of these nationalities that y'all see. You get my point? But so we here amongst them. This is why y'all so troubled. And if you look at our races, black people the most troubled. It's because of that. We are uncivilized, indigenous people that no one dealt with. Y'all just brought us into the tribes or the cities and states to slave us, to do y'all deed for us. And we only did it because we ain't had nothing for ourselves, meaning we had to come under a tribe or we ain't gonna eat. What fucking sense do that make? And so we acknowledge as slaves of a tribe or slaves in this system, truly owning the whole lands, but we ain't got no respect towards the system. And the system viewed the indigenous people as uncivilized. We're civilized now. But y'all are not claiming that. That's where the power at. Meaning the indigenous people can't fight for themselves, so in that the powers is good. But the indigenous people are technically referred to as African Americans, which ain't no nationality, it ain't nothing. It's two different things. Or they referred to as a color, which ain't got nothing to do with nationalities. That part. That's the proof you are what I said you are. And until we grasp that and claim what's real, meaning them uncivilized people that y'all view as animals, this was they land, and we, them, learned how to talk and dress and clothes now. But we still don't act right, so they throw us in the cage. You get it? And so kind of grasp when we pull for like Native American tribes, all we doing is pumping the systematics. Most people don't realize that because they lost into the books. You have to learn how to learn from the nature like the natives did. You know, some of y'all probably say, how you know what you know? I learned from the same thing they learned from. The life, the nature. And the nature don't lie. It's the same old story always. You still got colonization happening now. So, bro, it's a deep thing. Now, if anyone wants to give back, of course, you know, you can do that at paypal.me/SolidSolari. I didn't get a chance to put it in the description. cashapp.me/$ the real solace. Visit my website, wiseservant.org or upscaleknowledge.org. Y'all have any questions y'all can ask? Peace and wisdom, Timmy J289. Said he hope he run into me. You don't have to hope, champ. Salam, shalom. It's Big Usil. I'm not understanding y'all language. Y'all be hoping for things y'all don't have to. So I see you in the A. I hope I run into you. You don't have to. Commenting on my thing. You don't want to run into me. But salam, shalom. You want to sit down? Let me show y'all the deep. Let me show y'all what I'm gonna get into. I apologize. You can come on by. I'm gonna do a little bit of this. Let's sit that right there. If you don't like meat, turn away. You have these things. They are delicious. Lamb chops, baby. Ooh. I'm gonna get busy with a few of those. You know, I eat them raw, but I'm gonna watch this fight. You know, Crawford. Oh, that's not it. I got some more. Don't worry. Just give me a second. So I'm gonna hook that up right there. Gonna bake that on out. Then I got the fresh yams, baby. Gonna skin those on. Put a little sugar on them things. I forgot cinnamon. And a little bit of other ingredients, but you know. That's what Big O said do, man. Grown up stuff. I don't got time for the knucklehead thing. She understand? And so you can come on running into me, brother. Get yourself a little food. Like I said, full moon feast. Now, where was I at? Salam, shalom. Thank you, Thomas, man, for the give back, brother. Joyful Life, my PayPal is paypal.me/ no, that's Cash App. I don't know. PayPal/SolidSolari. Can someone please, if you don't mind, put my, if you don't mind, maybe you can put my, PayPal and stuff. Thank you. Love you guys. Appreciate it. Okay, I'm about to get back. Boom, I did it. Because I'm that nigga like that. Now, no, that's not the right one. Together, Cat Daddy. What you doing, Cat Daddy? Sorry, I like bothering y'all. I don't mean nothing by it. I'm just an asshole. Now we got that out the way. Salam, shalom. Let me see if y'all have any questions before I continue. Someone said, indigenous mindset, why do they want the indigenous dead or even want our blood? Because when you're dealing with indigenous people, they have the golden blood. When you're dealing with blood types, so you have Rh negative, Rh positive. I mean, you have two blood types, Rh negative and Rh positive. Now, under these two blood types, you have A, B, A, B, and O. Meaning under these two blood types, you have four different varieties. So you have A negative, B negative, AB negative, and O negative. And then you have the positive of the same four. So you only have two categories of blood type, negative and positive. Each side falling into the A, B, AB, etc. Now let's say A blood. A blood has A antibodies on it. I'm making it simple so you guys grasp. A blood has A antibodies on it. B blood has B antibodies on it. Meaning, let's say the microlife that's in the blood. So, you get it? B antibodies in the B blood, A in the A. If I give someone that has A blood and mix B blood within it, their antibodies, which are A, is going to start to attack the B antibodies because, you get it? The blood is the same, but the entity in it are different. And so they'll start attacking, you get it? Causing the blood to be, refused by the body. This is why you need the same blood type. Stay with me. That's how blood works. You have the antibodies on it. When you're dealing with indigenous people, they have a blood type that has no antibodies on it. You get it? So now you think blood, it has A antibodies on it. Thank you, brother, sister Cynthia Clayton. I appreciate you. Now think of A blood type. It has these little A microbodies on it. If you removed all those A microbodies from the blood, this is what indigenous people blood is like. Meaning it's good to mix with any blood. You get my point? It has no antibodies in it. The problem with that is, if you mix someone with A blood with someone that doesn't have any antibodies in their blood, so grass, you're making their blood A blood. Look at their blood as pure blood, like water. It can be mixed with any blood because there's nothing in it to resist. You get it? The A antibodies in your blood is not going to attack the antibodies in indigenous people blood because they don't have any. It's just blood. Like that. And that it can be used to cure so many things. Meaning when you're dealing with blood and cures that have to do with blood, the antibodies in the blood becomes the problem. Meaning you have things in your blood that is going to help keep your blood what it is, pure. Basically, if you're A blood, the A antibodies in your blood is going to fight anything that is not supposed to be in your blood to keep you safe. Like that. Indigenous people don't have nothing in their blood to attack, to defend from anything. You get my point? They don't have antibodies in their blood to attack anything because they don't have nothing to do with that until colonization. And so it becomes a very deep thing. Now, indigenous blood, I'm trying to think of the exact scientific name they have for that blood. They call it the gold blood. Forgot the name. I did a video on it. But they called it like the golden blood. The all-purpose. And so when you're dealing with indigenous people, meaning if you go to the Amazon rainforest and you find an indigenous peoples there that haven't been contacted by civilized people yet, their blood is that. You get my point? Once they come into contact with civilized people and they breed with them, the offspring will be mixed between, let's say, someone with A blood and this indigenous blood. Meaning, half their blood is going to be some new thing. Meaning, there's more blood types than they have labeled. You get my point? I don't want to confuse y'all. Meaning, I should have just gave y'all a quick blood quick blood breakdown, but it doesn't stop at the antibodies, meaning you have A blood, it has A antibodies in it. You have B blood, it has B antibodies in it. This is the micro life within it. But then you may have like different kinds. You get it? Meaning everything is kind of merged into 4 blood groups, but you have way more than that. You get my point? But similarity, so it's like, all right, that's close enough. There's too much mixed breeding happening in early America or any place where you have indigenous people and it beginning to be colonized, to where the blood groups start to get all crazy. You get my point? And then it has to be confined into 4 categories. Otherwise, you'll lose your mind. But if you went to school, like college, and you study blood or whatever the case may be, phlebotomy or something, or probably more than that. Phlebotomist is just drawing it. But you get my point? Someone who's studying the blood, then there's more than 4 groups. Meaning there's 4 groups that we have, but then those 4 groups are a little diverse as well. Meaning all A blood ain't really the same. There's other little perspectives that go with it, but it's close enough. You get my point? It doesn't have to be a key and a lock, just close enough. So like that. Some of y'all still have you might be A blood close enough, but you like some indigenous shit. But it's close enough, meaning you indigenous, you've been mixed breaded in, but your blood is still a lot like indigenous people. But it's mixed enough where you do have A antibodies and other antibodies, you get it? Where you can kind of crossbreed and not get sick. This is why indigenous people get sick when they mix breed with colonizers. Their blood has no antibodies. White man blood do fall into AB, ABO, and so those antibodies are going to contaminate the indigenous person's blood, which is pure, it doesn't have antibodies. So it's a deep thing. Salam, shalom. Indigenous mindset of the dead. Hopefully y'all grasp. Salam, shalom. If y'all have any questions, y'all can ask. I'm about to depart and have a guest coming. RDL said, who do you have in the fight? I'm a fan of the sport, not people. So I'm not a fan of Crawford or Porter. This messes up the whole thing once you do that. I enjoy boxing. I'm going to support this fight because these 2 dudes don't duck nobody, meaning they old school like how I like. Porter got his daddy old school, so he can't duck shit. He fought everybody, he gon' fight everybody. He don't got those weak games that the rest of the boxers play today, where they're trying to mimic Floyd in his later career, when he's trying to protect his hands, and he done already showed that can't nobody fuck with him. You get my point? Meaning they try to mimic what Floyd did, but Floyd already proved himself. He got leverage to do that because nobody can beat him anyway. But they not like, meaning Tank Davis ain't Floyd. He can't be fighting a whole bunch of bums forever. That's not gonna hang up. If I ask y'all, who did Tank Davis fight that's actually a champion? Nobody. But he a champion. And so you get my point? Playing it safe, but in that, watering this shit down. To where true boxing fans start to, you get it? I start to shy away from them. Errol Spence pulling out of the Manny Pacquiao fight. I start to shy away from him. I don't care what you talking about, wasn't nothing wrong with your eye. You will fight if something was wrong with your eye, then something just wrong with your eye. If I deck the shit out you in the first round and fuck up your eye, what you gonna say? Ain't no doctor's orders was made yet. You gotta fight with that black eye. And so it don't matter if his eye got messed up in sparring, because it's gonna get messed up in the real fight. So that excuse don't even matter. Because I try to protect my eye. Then why you box? If your eye can get fucked up in sparring, you don't think it's gonna get fucked up in a real fight with Manny Pacquiao? That part. Doesn't matter if your eye's fucked up and you go into the fight with a fucked up eye. And more than likely it's gonna get fucked up anyway. You get it? And so I'm just old school with it. There's no excuses. You fight everybody, and if you lose, then you find something else to do. And if you lose too much more than you win, you find something else to do. That means you ain't good enough. Other than that, you gotta challenge everybody, the best of the best, so you can see if you're even worthy of being here. So Porter deserves to be here more than any of them, because he has fought all the top guys, and he ain't lose to most of them. Meaning he won most of them. He beat Broner. He fought everybody. Let's just say that. Whoever y'all have as the top fighters in today, he fought him. Can't say that about the rest of them. And Crawford, he's the one that's ducked. And so this is why Porter's that dude. Because he gonna fight everybody like I just said. Meaning if y'all don't love Porter, then y'all goofy. But I don't take sides. This just messes it all up. Now, separate from that, if I seen Porter, I'd tell him, go, go, baby. Nobody, nobody realer than you. But, you know, that's in secret. Like, if I see him between us, say, yeah, all these boys, they scary. You're a different kind of champ, you know, old school thing. And so, I don't have no winner. I just want to see a good fight. I want to see somebody go to bed. This is all I'm in it for, you know? Who's going to sleep? That's it. And so it's a deep thing. Salam, shalom. I need to get to making that food. I may get a little lazy and just have to order something. Now I'm looking to see if I missed any questions before I depart. Thanks again, Thomas, man. And everyone else that tries to have a little balance. It's a deep thing. Peace and wisdom. Thank you kindly. Someone said movies are worse than ever nowadays. I agree. I was just saying the same thing. I'm laughing because I'm trying to see if y'all have any comments, and y'all commenting now. Okay, y'all don't. So hopefully y'all grasp Native Indigenous. Of course, this is for the Beaver Moon. I should have named it that. Beaver Moon was yesterday. Full moon is still today, if you look up above. So you're going to see that beautiful full moon. It's the Beaver Moon. So this is where Thanksgiving comes from, meaning the beaver at this time gathers up all its food for the winter, brings it into its hole. You get my point? Basically storing up for the winter. A food thing. You know, like a last feast thing. I'm sure when the beavers is eating that night, and they got everything saved up, so you get my point? They gonna go hard before they go into that hole. So it's a time of eating because it's a time where things is about to become barren. You get my point? After this is Christmas, winter, snow. If we was in the past and we had that harvest, so it's about to come to a close, y'all. The pumpkins came in, them yams and sweet potatoes then came in, you get it? We pulling up to the end, you know, we recoup our last harvest, and you know, head in. And so it's like I told y'all, the indigenous people, they learn from the natures of the life, meaning they learn from the animals around them. The beavers moved in that way, so they learned to do the same. Gather their last of their crops and store it up for the winter. And so in that, that's where the feast comes from. Meaning, Thanksgiving, because some of you guys will get lost and say, no, Thanksgiving came from white people and the colonizers. They didn't have Thanksgiving in Europe. You get my point? So like they brought some of their shit here and they adopted certain shit. Now I'm not saying the Native Americans called it a Thanksgiving and it wasn't paganed out. You get my point? Meaning made into European style tradition. But you get my point? Eating together, how we do in Thanksgiving, is a Native American thing in itself. You get my point? When you're dealing with the civilized, they're on the go. they own the business. This is when the tribe and the family starts to get broken up. So if you live in a city, your family is broken up. It doesn't matter how you view it. Y'all are not as close as y'all would be because you go work here, they go work there. You live here, they live there. You get my point? Y'all are not a tribe that works together, lives together, and takes away from what is real. So it's a deep thing. Try and grasp. Oh, let me finish. I apologize. Where was I at? It's time for me to eat. I'm losing my train of thought. But like I said, catch that beaver moon. I caught it Thursday night, Friday. I caught it yesterday a little bit. But I'm gonna give me a nice, meal. This is true Thanksgiving, today, on the beaver moon, on the full moon. So I like to do my own traditions. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Mine's got more to do with observation and wisdom. Meaning, my Thanksgiving, which is the beaver full moon, has to do with that. Learning from the nature. So it's like how I teach y'all. I say learn from the life. So I kind of live in that way. This is why I tell y'all that. It makes it better. It makes things make more sense. When you look at the real orders. Observing a beaver can do more for you than any person could teach you. Observing the wolf and the pack of the wolf and how they move in an order. A soldier can learn more from a pack of wolves than any lieutenant or general in any army you can ever think of. It's not going to get no more better than that. You get it? Meaning the animal's natural instincts, you're not going to get things better than that. You can lie to yourself if you want. The way a lion stalks, you're not going to get stalking better than that or taught by any person better than observing a lion. And how they retract their nails and you don't hear not a sound. The shit 500 pounds. You don't hear it. Meaning that shit can creep right up on you. You will not hear a lion. They like a cat. The same way y'all like me, and I can't even hear the cat. The cat move like it don't have no weight. That part. Most people never see a lion in real life to grasp like, damn, that shit's humongous. Yet it's still cat-like. Meaning they move on his feet like it's so light. You'll jump up a fucking tree like, you can't escape that shit. The way it's stalked, it's gonna catch you before you even notice it. So you get it? A man can have all his, ideals and his teachings for stalking, war tactics, but it ain't gonna be better than watching a predator. You get it? You can learn from a U.S. soldier how to be a soldier. Let's stalk out your enemy in different things. Or you could just watch a predator, meaning an animal, like a lion. Watch a pack of wolves, how they prey on things and how they work together. When wolves is moving, they have the weakest in the front. No, I'm sorry. They have the weakest in the middle. They have the leader in the back. And I believe they have the young in the front. They either have the elders in the front or the young in the front. And then they have the weak in the middle. A lot of y'all will say, I don't get it. When you move it, if somebody attack you from the back, you got the leader. You get it? And you got the alpha wolf. He the strongest. He in the back. He the strongest in this. He might not even be the strongest, but he the leader of that whole pack. He gonna play the back for anybody that fall behind. You get it? He more than just the strongest wolf. He the alpha wolf for a reason. Meaning he the alpha because he the leader of that whole shit. They all his. He not gonna leave none of them behind. Like a father with his kids. You not gonna leave none of them motherfuckers behind. You can't leave you can't leave one of the brothers over that. Meaning the father can't tell the brother, man, watch over your siblings and trust that he may not leave one of them behind. They ain't his kids. He love him like a equal. You get it? If it come to him or his brother, he may have to abandon him to save himself. But the father not gonna do that. You get it? He gonna die for them both, because they his. That's how the alpha wolf is. That whole pack is his. He's the one that's not gonna leave none of them behind. And so he walks in the back. You get it? You're weak, you're strong. Your weak is closer up in the front. Meaning you're gonna have a strong wolves in the front, and then your young and your elders kind of somewhere in the front middle. You get my point? Therefore, if something attacked from the front, you got your strong in the front, your young and your strong in the front. If somebody attacked from the back, you get my point? You got your elder wolf, which is the alpha. He could risk his life, he already lived. You get it? Like that. They got the young up in the front, because they can grab and lead the, you get it? The weak away. And so the weak is kind of trapped in between both strong. You get my point? If you observe wolves, you'll see, like, they keep the weak smothered in. So if you attacking, you get my point? You're either going to come from the front or the back, and you're going to run into the powers, the strengths. You're not going to ever get to the weak in the middle. So they move how they do. They're quite wise. Meaning when you're dealing with the animals in nature, they way wiser than man. I watch birds for hours. How they dive into the water. It's a deep thing, trying and grasp. Now, if y'all have any questions, y'all can ask. I'm about to depart. Hopefully everyone's in good spirits. Salam, shalom, peace and wisdom.